In this section, we'll work on sound implementation and learn how to sync sounds in multiplayer games. At the first step, we go to scene 1 and select the gameplay manager object, and we attach the audio source component. Then create and add a new script called Shared Audio Manager and open it in Visual Studio. In this script, we first define the collecting emerald clip field, and then we define the photon view and audio source variables. Then we assign the references in awake method. In here we define a method called play collecting emerald clip that uses the audio source to play the clip assigned to collecting emerald clip. Since we want the playback of this clip to be synced across the entire game, we also define a method called RPC play collecting emerald clip, which is called inside the play collecting emerald clip method. So now we can delete this line of code and replace it with the code used to call the RPC method. Save the script, go back to Unity, and assign the collecting emerald clip field. Next, we want to work on the player. So first we go to resources and then open player blue in the prefab editor. Create a new script called SFX manager and add it to this object. and then open it in Visual Studio. Here we also define the tangent gene audio source and audio source fields as type audio source. Next, we define the explosion clip, shoot clip, and hit clip fields as type audio clip. We also define the photon view and default tangent gene pitch variables. Now we add the awake method and assign the photon view reference. To initialize default tangent gene pitch, we first check if the tangent gene audio source field is not null. And if the condition is met, we set default tangent gene pitch equal to tangent gene audio source pitch. We don't need these two methods here, so we define new methods called play hit clip and RPC play hit clip, which are used respectively to call the RPC method and sync the playback of hit clip over the network. So here we call the RPC method, and here we play the clip. Copy these methods and paste them here. We replace the name play hit clip with play shoot clip, and do the same replacement for this method. We also replace the hit clip parameter with shoot clip in this method. Copy these methods and paste them here. Replace the name play shoot clip with play explosion clip, and do the same replacement here as well. We also replace the shoot clip parameter with explosion clip. Next, we copy these two methods and paste them here. We replace the word explosion in this method with tangent gene. And also define the input arguments, move input value and turn input value in this method. We copy these same arguments and paste them here. We also copy this name, paste it in this method and here, and in the RPC method call, we pass the input variables as parameters. In this method, we first check if either move input value or turn input value is greater than 0. And if the condition is met, we increase the pitch property of tangent gene audio source by 2 units from its default value. In the case where both move input value and turn input value are 0, a random value based on default tangent gene pitch is applied to the pitch property of tangent gene audio source. We save the script and then assign the fields defined here in Unity. So we go back to Unity. Attach the audio source component. Assign this clip to the audio resource. Set the spatial blend to 3D. And assign it to the tangent gene audio source field. If you remember, in the method we wrote, we worked on changing this attribute value in different states. And we explained these 2 different states to you. We click on the Add Component button and add another audio source. We use this audio source to play the other clips for the player, so we uncheck Play on Awake and set the spatial blend to 3. Then we assign this component to the audio source field. For the remaining fields, we select and assign the corresponding clips. Don't forget to check the loop option for this audio source. Go back to the scene, select the gameplay manager, and uncheck Play on Awake for this component. Now we open the gameplay manager script in Visual Studio and close some scripts that we don't need. We start with this script and define the SFX manager variable. In the update method, we call the play tank engine clip method and in the fire method, we call the play shoot clip method. In the take damage method, we call the play explosion clip method here. And in this part, we call the play hit clip method. For Fire Mobile, we copy this line and paste it here. Now we save the script and go back to Unity. We assign the SFX manager script to this field and now go back to the scene and open the gameplay manager in Visual Studio. Here we also define the shared audio manager field. We go to the add emerald method and call play collecting emerald clip when the emerald is collected by the player. Save the script and go back to Unity and assign this field. Go to sample scene and run the game once. As you can see, up to this point there are no issues and everything is working correctly. We stop the game and go back to sample scene. Go to resources and do the same for the remaining players and place all the players in the scene first. Now we select player blue, copy the SFX manager script and paste it onto player green. We do the same for the audio source components as well. Now we assign these two audio sources to the tangent gene audio source and audio source fields in player green. For player red, first select player blue. Then copy the SFX manager script and the audio source components and paste them onto player red. Similar to player green, we assign the new audio source references to the fields in player red. For all the players, we click on Override and select Apply All to apply the changes to the prefabs. We no longer need the players in the scene, so we remove all of them. For enemy tank, we also need to add the SFX manager script and audio source components. So we open player blue in the prefab editor, copy the SFX manager script and paste it onto enemy tank. For the audio source components, we first copy them and then paste them onto enemy tank. Now we assign the corresponding components to the tangent gene audio source and audio source fields. Next, we open the NMI unit tank script in Visual Studio. And here we define a new field called SFX Manager. In the update method at this point, we use SFX manager to call the play tangent clip method. In this method, we also call the play shoot clip function. In the take damage method, we call play explosion clip when the enemy is destroyed, and play hit clip when the enemy's health is reduced. Save the script, go back to Unity, and assign the SFX manager field. We go back to sample scene and add the enemy tank and enemy turret prefabs to the scene. Just like we did for enemy tank, we do the same for the enemy turret. First, we copy the SFX manager from enemy tank and paste it onto enemy turret. For the audio source components, we only copy the second one and paste it onto enemy turret. So we click on the tank engine audio source field and press backspace to set its value to null. For this field, we assign this audio source component. For this object and with this field being null, this line of code won't execute. Therefore, these methods in enemy unit turret are also not called. Go back to Unity, click on Overwrite for these two objects, and then select Apply All to save the changes to the prefabs. We no longer need these objects in the scene, so we can delete both of them. Go to the Resources folder, open the enemy unit turret script in enemy turret, and define a new field called SFX manager. We go to the fire method and call play shoot clip for firing the bullet. In the take damage method, we do the same as enemy tank, and we call play explosion clip here and play hit clip here. Save the script and go back to Unity to assign this field. Go to the sample scene, open player red in the prefab editor, and assign the SFX manager field for this object. We do the same for player green as well. We go back to sample scene again. Before running the game, we go to the game view and select play maximized. Then we go back to the scene, click the play button and start the game. In this run, everything is working correctly and there are no issues. In the next section, we'll fix some minor bugs and complete the game. Stop the game and go back to scene 2. Following that, select the Gameplay Manager object, attach the Shared Audio Manager script first and then assign it to the Shared Audio Manager field. Next, we add the audio source component to this object and uncheck Play on Awake option. We also assign this file to the Collecting Emerald Clip field. Now we can assign this script to the Shared Audio Manager field in Gameplay Manager. Go back to sample scene, select Build Profiles from the File menu and click on Build. If you encounter the missing project ID dialog like I did, simply close these windows and go to the Services menu. Then select General Settings. While ensuring your internet connection is active, open Services so that Unity creates a project ID for your project. Once the project ID is created, close the window, go to File, select Build Profiles again and click Build. In this folder, we click on the executable file and run a test of the game in single player mode. So far everything is working correctly. Now we want to collect the 7th emerald to see if we can proceed to the next level. Yes, it seems we switched to the next level correctly. Unfortunately, there are no issues. Next, we focus a bit more on the enemy spawn points so that enemies can be positioned more appropriately on the ground and don't hover too far above it. So we stop the game, go back to Unity, select Scene 2, and adjust the enemy spawn points. We go to Sample Scene, select Build Profiles from the File menu, and build the game to get an executable. And then run the game. Fortunately, everything is working correctly so far, and there are no issues. As you can see, the game over message displays correctly and the game runs without any issues. However, it would be better if the background were a bit darker. So we stop the game and go back to Unity. Now we go to Scene 2, select the congratulation object and increase the alpha value in its color. To see how it works, we temporarily activate the congratulation object and go to the game view. Additionally, we add the camera object to Scene 2. I think this alpha value looks more appropriate. We no longer need this object to be active, so we deactivate it, remove the camera from the scene, and go back to sample scene.